Ella, please, they're about to shut off my lights." My sister was whispering like someone was in the room with her. I had the office phone tucked to my shoulder and a patient in front of me asking if we validated parking. The hold music hummed through the desk headset. My stomach dropped. "My name is Ella," I said to the patient, smiling like nothing was happening. "Yes, we'll stamp it. 1 second." I put them on hold and lowered my voice back into my cell. "Where are you?" "In the kitchen." Tamara breathed into the mic. "There's a yellow tag on the door. They gave me a final notice. I swear I thought I had more time. It's 1:80. I can't be in the dark." I'm 32. I work the front desk at a dentist's office, and I am the older sister who knows people's birthdays, the one who shows up with jumper cables. Tamara is 28 and charismatic in a way that gets her free dessert and last-minute favours. I live alone in a second-floor one-bedroom, pay rent on the first, drive a 12-year-old Corolla with a dash light that flickers when it rains, and I know exactly how much is in my checking account because I keep a purple notebook of every dollar. "Do you have the account number?" I asked. Celeste, my co-worker, looked over the divider at me. She's 40, warm and blunt, and she mouthed, "You okay?" I nodded like I was. Tamara rattled off the numbers. "They said if I pay online today, they'll flag it and cancel the shut-off. Ella, please, Damien's at his cousin's. I'm not asking him." "Okay," I said. My fingers were already on the keyboard. I pulled up the utilities quick pay and typed her account in. My grocery money for the week was $220. I'd written it on a sticky note tucked under my keyboard. $180 would leave me gas and ramen. I pictured her apartment going dark and her lighting candles out of a shoebox, the smell of wax and panic sticking to the walls. I read the name and address off the screen. "This is you?" "Yes, hold on." I entered my debit card, checked the box that said, "I am authorized," and hit pay. A small spinning circle, then a green check. I grabbed a pen and circled the 180s on my sticky note 3 times. "It's paid," I said. Tamara exhaled like she'd been underwater. "You're my whole heart." "I'll get you back Friday." "Friday," I repeated. Payday for me, too. I needed that money back before I did a weird dance with my rent. "Text me a screenshot if they send you a confirmation." She hung up with a flood of thank yous. I switched back to the headset, stamped the parking, smiled at the next person in line. Celeste slid a granola bar onto my mousepad without saying anything. My phone buzzed. Family group chat. Tamara dropped a photo of the cancelled shut-off notice with "crisis averted thanks to my big sis." A row of heart emojis. Mum, listed as Virginia in my phone because I don't like when Siri calls her by her first name, texted me separately right after, "You're a good sister." I stared at the message until the words blurred. "Thanks," I typed back. It's fine. I'll have it back by Friday." After work, I drove home in the Corolla, the brakes squeaking a little when I eased to a stop at the light by the park. The windows were cracked because the AC smells like crayons. The sun had that late afternoon flattening that makes everything look like a photo. My building is an old brick square with a buzzer that works when it wants to. I carried my tote up to 2B, turned the deadbolt twice, and kicked off my shoes. I opened the fridge, counted what I had: eggs, 2 apples, half a bag of spinach, a jar of salsa, 3 tortillas. Doable until Friday. I pulled out the purple notebook and wrote, "Paid T Electric 180, due back Friday." I underlined due back twice. At 7:30, something slid under my door. Not a flyer for the laundromat this time. A white envelope with my name in blue pen. I sat on the rug and opened it like it could bite. Notice of rent increase, effective next month. My rent would go from $1,045 to $1,120, 30 days notice. "We appreciate your tenancy," the letter said, like a pat on the head. "Okay," I told the empty apartment. "It's fine. I did the math on my fingers. It wasn't fine, but it would be if Friday happened like Friday was supposed to. I folded the letter back into the envelope and slid it under the purple notebook. I texted Tamara, "Hey, just a reminder, please send the 180 by Friday. I need it." Typing bubbles. Then nothing. Then, 2 hours later, a single laughing emoji popped up on my screen, and her message, "Relax, family doesn't keep score." Friday came and went with no buzz on my phone. I checked my banking app 3 times anyway, like it could change if I stared at it long enough. Balance held steady, minus the gas I'd put in the Corolla, and a $3 charge from the laundromat card machine. I texted Tamara in the morning, "Hey, please send the $180 today like we said." She sent back, "Busy. Later." With a sparkle emoji. By Saturday, her story showed a paper bag of takeout and a caption with a fry emoji. Sunday was a boomerang of clinking iced coffees. I scrambled eggs with the last of the spinach and rolled it into a tortilla, wrote "Tea Electric, not paid" in the margin of my purple notebook, and underlined it until the paper thinned. The next week felt like walking around in shoes half a size too small. Every time my phone lit up, the hope kicked first. Then another post, Tamara's nails, fresh almond shape, pale pink. I called, it rang twice, then went to voicemail. I texted, "Can we talk?" "Busy," came back, "no time RN." On Wednesday, I was picking at a granola bar at my desk when Celeste leaned on the divider. She didn't bother with small talk. "You eating just that?" she asked. "I've got an apple in my bag." I held it up like proof. She looked at my face, then at the notebook half under my keyboard. "She pay you back?" I shook my head. Celeste sighed through her nose. "If you're going to keep helping, at least keep track." "I wrote it down," I said. I flipped the notebook so she could see the line item and the date. It felt both good and pathetic to show her. "Good," she said. "Dates, amounts. Don't let it live in your head where it eats your dinner." A man at the counter waved his parking ticket, and I slid on the office smile and stamped it. The hold music hummed like a bad dream you can't shake. On Friday, I tried Tamara again at lunch. This time she answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, hey," she said, breathless like she'd run upstairs. "Can I call you back?" "Just a minute," I said. "It's been 2 weeks. I really need that 180 back." She laughed lightly. "You're being tight, Ella. It's a little 180. Real family doesn't nickel and dime." "I paid your bill so they wouldn't shut off your lights," I said, keeping my voice low because Dr. Singh had walked past to the consult room. "I have rent and my own bills." "I said I'll get you," she said, like I was tugging on her sleeve. "Don't be like this." "Like what?" "Like keeping score. It's ugly." Silence sat between us. I pictured the white envelope with the blue pen from my landlord tucked under my notebook at home, like a weight I was pretending not to feel. "When can you send it?" I asked finally. "I'll see what I can do," she said. "I'm literally walking into an appointment. Busy." She hung up before I could say anything else. That night I ate ramen with a hard-boiled egg and half a scallion I'd forgotten in the crisper. The brakes on the Corolla gave a little squeal when I pulled into my spot behind the building, and I winced. I wrote down another line in the notebook. "Rent increase starts next month, $75 more." Then I circled 180 again, as if that could call it in. Saturday, Mum texted the family thread, "Sunday dinner, 5 p.m, lasagna and salad. No money talk at the table, please. Heart emoji." Tamara responded first with 3 fork and knife emojis. I typed, "I'll be there. Can I bring bread?" Mum wrote back, "Just yourself, and come early if you want to help me chop." Separately, she pinged me, "You okay?" "Yes," I typed, "just tight this week." She added, "Let's have a nice dinner tomorrow. No scenes." Okay, I sent back, too fast. I stared at the screen, wishing I could ask her to back me up, then shutting that door because I know how she is. She likes peace, and I hadn't laid out anything she could see. Sunday morning, I did laundry with quarters I counted twice and cleaned my apartment like that would straighten my account. Tamara's post from the night before was a bento box of sushi and a hand in the frame with the pink nails. At noon, she commented on her own picture, Self-Care Day, with a sparkle and a white heart. Something in me snapped, not loud, like the quiet sound a thread makes when it gives way. I put my phone face down on the table and looked at the purple notebook open beside it. The words I'd written were neat, lined up, waiting. I drove to Mom's on Sunday with the lasagna smell all ready in my head, and the Corolla's brakes making that thin squeal at every stop. Windows down, radio low. At the light by the laundromat, the squeal turned into a grind for half a second, and I felt it in my teeth. Not today, I told the steering wheel. Dinner was fine in the way things are fine when you skate over the surface. Mum had the garlic bread on a towel, Aunt Laurel's towel, actually, the one I'd borrowed 3 months ago and never replaced. Tamara floated in late with lip gloss and a story about a rude barista. I kept my mouth shut because I promised. We ate, we laughed at something my cousin said about his boss, and I drove home careful on the brakes, like gentleness could change physics. Monday morning I called a break place near the office as soon as they opened. "Bring it by at lunch," the guy said. "We'll take a look, no charge to inspect." I left Celeste to cover the desk while I handed over the keys to a man with a grease tattoo on his wrist. I ate a banana in the waiting room under a TV showing a game show with the sound off. 20 minutes later he came back with a printout and a look people get when they've said this 100 times. "Front pads are down to the metal," he said. "Rotors are scored. You could baby it for a week, but I don't recommend it." "How much to fix?" $4.19 before tax, he said, tapping the paper. "That's pads, rotors, labour. If we do the rear in a month or two, you're fine." $4.19 landed like a bowling ball. I opened my banking app and stared at the number. If the 180 was in there where it should have been, it wouldn't feel like trying to pull a sweater over my head that was 2 sizes too small. "I can't do it today," I said. "I'll schedule it." "Don't wait too long," he said, not unkind. "That squeal gets worse before it gets better." Back at the desk, I slid the estimate into my tote like it was a secret. Celeste raised an eyebrow. "Well, $4.19, I said. "Ouch!" She pointed at my bag. "Make it visible." People behave better when they see it. "I wrote it down," I said, hand on the purple notebook. "Not just for you," she said. "For them. Out of heads, onto paper. Otherwise it's just vibes and resentment." After work, I parked behind my building and sat for a minute with the engine off, listening to the tick-tick as the heat eased out. I went upstairs to 2B and dumped my tote on the small table by the window. The rent increase letter was still tucked under the notebook. I put the break estimate on top of it like layers of a paper sandwich I didn't want to bite. I made tea because it felt like doing something. While the kettle hissed, I flipped to a clean page in the notebook. On the left side, I wrote, "What I owe." Under it, "Aunt L, dish towel, 12 Thäugelin." The towel was dumb and specific, striped red and white, the kind you can get in a 2-pack at the grocery store. She'd handed it to me at a barbecue when I'd shown up with hot corn and said, "Bring this back when you remember." I hadn't remembered. Next line, "Mom, church raffle ticket, $8. We'd been standing by the punch bowl and the lady with the clipboard had cornered us. I told the woman I didn't have cash. Mum slipped her 10 and said, "We'll settle later." We never did. On the right I wrote, "Owed to me." I started small so I couldn't accuse myself of being petty. Cousin, gas, $40 months ago. Then birthday party, plates, candles, napkins, $17. I remembered standing in the party store at 8 at night because we forgot candles turned into we forgot everything. Ride to airport, 5:30 a.m. Just asked for gas, I wrote. Then hesitated and drew a little dot next to it. No dollar amount, just time and the way I'd sat in the cell phone lot at dawn. I thought about Tamara and my pen hovered. I didn't want to make a list that was just me building a case, but the break estimate sat there like a dare, and my checking app still had the hole. I pulled open the hall closet and leaned into the mess. Old tote bags, a rolled yoga mat I used twice, a corkboard from when I first moved in, and had big plans about pinning recipes and inspiration quotes. I took it out, wiped a film of dust onto my jeans, and set it on the table. I found a stack of index cards in the junk drawer with a rubber band, a thumbtack tin, and a fat black marker. I wrote the What I Owe cards first and pinned them on the left. Aunt Laurel's towel, Mum's raffle. They looked small and tidy. I tucked $20 cash into an envelope and wrote, "For Mom and Laurel," so I wouldn't forget again. On the right, I wrote the other cards and pinned them in a loose line. Cousin, gas $40. Birthday supplies $17. Ride to airport. Early, no gas given. There were a couple more little things that felt like gnats. Covered cake knife, or brought ice twice on night, and I let them go. I wasn't going to turn into a meter maid. The last card I cut, shorter, like that would make it less loud. I printed slow. Electric bill, lights saved, 180, due by Friday. Not last Friday, this Friday. A new line in the sand I could point to. I looked at it for a long beat, and then, like I was tucking a photograph I wasn't ready to show, I slid it face down to the bottom of the right side and pressed a tack through the corner. The corkboard sat there on my little table. Not dramatic, just honest. I felt my shoulders drop an inch like air had moved in the room. By Tuesday morning, the face-down card on my corkboard felt like a blinking light. I called Tamara on my break and walked into the stairwell where the signal is spotty but nobody can hear you. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, I'm literally about to walk into something." "It's quick," I said. "Friday is coming up. I need the 180. She sighed into the phone. "I told you, I'll get you when I get my check. You said that last week." "And I meant it." Her voice went brighter, that tone she uses like we're in on a joke. "But can you stop keeping score?" "It's ugly." There it was again, the word she'd thrown at me before. It landed soft and mean. I looked at the dusty step under my shoe and swallowed. "When will your check hit?" "End of week, probably Monday latest. I'll call you." A beat then. "Don't make this weird." "I'm asking because I have bills," I said. "My brakes need work." Okay, I gotta go." She hung up. Back at the desk, I slid into my chair and did the parking stamp smile for a woman holding her ticket. When the line cleared, I checked my phone out of habit. Tamara had posted a takeout spread, fried rice, wings, little cups of sauce, on her story. In the corner, Damien's thumbs were up, his face half in the frame. I felt my jaw lock. My groceries in a clamshell on someone else's table. That's what it looked like. Celeste dropped into the chair at the empty cubicle next to me, swiveling like a kid. "You look like you're chewing nails." "She said Monday," I said. And she called me ugly for keeping score again. Celeste tilted her head. "Then keep score where everyone can see it. Did you do the board?" I nodded. "It's on my table at home." "Bring it," she said. "To where?" "Sunday dinner, and read the cards in order. Start with your own." "Aunt Laurel, Mom, whatever you owe." "You take the bite first. No one can call you petty. Then move right." "I promised Mom no scenes," I said. "Is reading a list a scene?" Celeste raised her eyebrows. "Tone matters. Keep it calm." A patient came to the counter asking for a receipt, and we slid back into work. At lunch I ate yogurt with a handful of cereal dumped in, thinking about cards on cork and forks pausing. Wednesday night I wrote a grocery list I couldn't buy yet and stuck $20 into an envelope labelled Mom and Laurel, like I'd planned. The rent increase letter under my notebook felt like a sandbag. Thursday, Mom texted the family thread, "Sunday dinner again, 5 p.m. Roast chicken, green beans, rolls. Please, no drama." Tamara responded with a chicken emoji and 2 hearts. I typed, "I'll be there. Need me to bring anything?" Mum's bubble popped up. "Just yourself. Come early if you want to help me prep." Then a separate text came in. "Please, no drama Sunday. Just a nice meal. Love you." I stared at drama and thought of my cards, my neat handwriting, the little $8 and $12 that had been floating unpaid because I never pinned them down. I typed, "I'll be respectful. Love you too." Friday came. My phone stayed quiet. At lunch I walked to the bank to deposit my paycheck, watching the numbers shuffle in my app after. Even with the deposit, the empty where the 180 should be glared at me. On the way back, the Corolla's brakes sang at a stop sign and a man crossing gave me a sympathetic look. I texted Tamara. Today was the due date I wrote down. Can you send it? No answer. 2 hours later, I'll get you Monday. Busy. I screenshotted the text and slid my phone face down on the desk. Celeste glanced at me. "Monday," she said, reading my eyes. "Then Sunday is your day. Mom doesn't want drama." "Then don't bring drama," she said. "Bring clarity. Read the left side first. Keep your voice steady. You're not prosecuting anyone. You're being clear." Saturday, I cleaned my kitchen, wiped crumbs from under the toaster, set the corkboard up on the table, and stared at it while my tea went cold. I wrote one more card and tucked it into the left side. Breaks, schedule this week. Not a debt to someone, but to myself. I stuck the break estimate printout under the board so I couldn't ignore it. I pulled my tote from the closet and tested the weight. I slid the envelope with the 20 into the inner pocket and added a roll of tape and a spare pen, because I know how family kitchens eat things. I pressed my fingers to the face-down card at the bottom right. The paper felt flimsy and strong at the same time. Sunday afternoon, I showered, put on a soft sweater that didn't show sweat if I got nervous, and stood in the doorway of 2B with my keys in my teeth as I locked up. I slid the corkboard into the tote carefully, corners wrapped in a dish towel so they wouldn't snag. I carried it to the car like a fragile truth I was finally ready to set down where everyone could see it. Mom's building smelled like hall carpet and somebody's stew. I parked on the street, eased the Corolla into the spot, and the brakes gave a quick squeal like a warning. I cut the engine, lifted the tote from the passenger seat, and felt the weight of the board settle along my hip. Mum opened the door before I knocked. "You made good time," she said, kissing my cheek. The kitchen had onions and garlic going in a pan, steam touching the window above the sink. A mixing bowl of green beans sat waiting. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and eyed my bag. "You bring half your house?" "Just some things," I said. "Put it by your chair. We'll set up the buffet on the sideboard." I slid the tote under the chair at the corner of the table and tucked the straps in like I was putting a kid to bed. In the kitchen, I snapped the ends off green beans and dropped them into boiling water while Mom stirred butter and herbs into a saucepan. "You're early," she said. "You asked me to help." She softened. "Thank you." Then, almost in the same breath, "Let's have a nice dinner, no scenes." "I'll be respectful," I said, and I meant it. My heart wasn't racing. It just sat there, steady. The front door opened and cousins drifted in with bottles of soda and a bag of rolls. "Hey, Ella," one of them said, clapping my shoulder too hard on the way to the living room. The TV clicked on low, football pregame and laughter, the hum of a regular Sunday. Aunt Laurel came in behind them with a wooden bowl of salad and a Tupperware of dressing she always made herself. "Put it there," Mom said, pointing with the wooden spoon. Laurel set the bowl down and gave me a little nod like she was tipping an invisible hat. "I've got something for you," I said, wiping my hands and reaching into my back pocket. I pulled out the envelope and slid 2 bills out. "For the towel." Laurel's mouth twitched. "You could have brought me a towel." "I wrote it down," I said. She took the 12 slowly, folded it once, and tucked it into her pocket. "Noted," she said, dry as a cracker. "We're square." I turned to Mom, held out the 8. "Raffle ticket." She fussed with the spoon like her hands needed a job. "You don't—" "I wrote it down," I said again. "Please." She took it, thumb smoothing the edge. "Thank you," she said quieter, like she was packing something into that word. She slipped the bills into the cookie jar on the counter and patted its lid. We set plates and forks, slid the roasted chicken onto a platter. The door opened again and Tamara blew in with Damien, laughter first. She had a bright scarf around her hair and lip gloss shining. Damien had on a hoodie I'd seen in 3 different selfies. "Smells good," he said to the room, rubbing his hands. Tamara kissed Mom's cheek, then glanced at me. "Don't be weird today," she said, light like a joke, and moved past me to grab a bread roll. "I'm not being weird," I said. She was already telling Mom about the nail tech who'd fixed a whole mess on her thumb. Damien poured himself sweet tea like he lived there. We all moved around each other, knives and serving spoons clinking, cousins yelling at the TV when someone fumbled on the replay. I took my seat by my tote. The weight of it pressed against my leg through the chair. Laurel sat across from me and took a sip of water, eyes skimming the room and then landing back on me. Not a question, just a look. Tamara slid into the chair next to me, hip bumping mine, and patted my shoulder with 2 fingers. "My big sister," she said to the table like she was introducing a guest. "She's tight with money, y'all. She'll invoice you if you breathe near her purse." She laughed and nudged me like we were in on it. My face went hot for a second and then very cool, like a window had opened inside me. Mum's hand paused over the serving spoon. The TV hummed. The garlic and onions smelled like warmth I didn't want to ruin. "Okay," I said, pushing back my chair so the legs squeaked on the tile. I stood, steady. "Before we eat, I need 5 minutes." Chairs scraped. Forks paused mid-air. Nobody moved to pray yet, so I reached under my chair, pulled out the tote, and set it on the sideboard next to the stack of plates. "What are you doing?" Mom asked, her voice neutral but alert. 5 minutes, I said. I unwrapped the dish towel from the corners and lifted the corkboard out. The tacks glinted, the index cards looked small and clean. Tamara's laugh edged up. "Ella, this is weird." I propped the board on the buffet against the wall, straightened it with my palm, and tapped the left side. "This side is what I owe," I said. "I owed Aunt Laurel $12 for a dish towel. I owed Mom $8 for the church raffle ticket." I picked up the marker and drew one neat line through each card. "Both paid today." Aunt Laurel tipped her chin like a judge marking a docket. "True," she said. Mum's mouth worked like she wasn't sure whether to smile. She set the serving spoon down. I pointed to the last card on the left. "And this one isn't to anyone here, but it's mine to handle. Brakes, schedule this week. My car needs them. I've been putting it off." I didn't look at anyone. "That's on me." Cousins shifted in their chairs. TV sounded too bright for a second, and then someone muted it from the couch. "Ella," Tamara sang light. "We don't need a presentation. We're hungry." "I'm almost done," I said. I moved my hand to the right side. "This side is what's owed to me and dates. I'm not here to embarrass anyone. I'm making it visible so it's not just me carrying it." Laurel's eyes flicked from card to card. Damien leaned his elbow on the table like this was a show he didn't buy a ticket for. I read without looking around. "Cousin, gas, $40. I glanced at him. "Months ago at the barbecue when your tank was on E and you said you'd catch me next payday." He opened his mouth, closed it. Birthday supplies, plates, candles, napkins. 17. I bought them on the way to Maya's party when we realised we had cake and nothing to put it on. A cousin's girlfriend mumbled, "Oh, right," and looked down. Ride to airport, 5:30 a.m. No gas given. I kept my voice even. I'm not asking for money on that one, just noting time. Damien huffed a tiny laugh. "Okay, accountant." "Damien," Mom said, just his name. He looked at his lap. I moved to the next. Covered the paper goods twice at family dinners, $5 here and there, letting those go. I tapped the bottom right corner where a card sat, pinned face down under the others. My hand felt steady. This last one matters. Tamara shifted, shoulders up around her ears. "Ella," she said, tone bright and brittle, "this is weird." "It's honest," I said. I slid my nail under the corner of the card and flipped it over so the marker letters faced the room. Electric bill, lights saved, 180 due by Friday. Silence had weight. The green beans clicked softly in the colander where Mom had drained them. Somebody cleared their throat and then stopped. I let the words sit on the card a beat, black on white. "I paid it 2 Fridays ago," I said, still calm. "I asked for it back by that Friday. I reminded you. You told me, 'Relax, family doesn't keep score,' and that keeping score is ugly. So I'm putting the score where everyone can see it, and it's not ugly inside me." Tamara looked around like she was searching for a place to land. Her cheeks went pink. "You're making a big deal over a little thing." "It's $180, I said. "It's my groceries and part of my rent and my breaks. It's not little to me." Mum's eyes met mine. She didn't say anything, but her face had that set, like when she watched my brother run his first baseball game, steady, taking it in. Aunt Laurel folded her arms and leaned back, neutral as a bench. Tamara blew out a laugh that wasn't a laugh. "This is so dramatic," she said softer. "No drama," I said. "Just clarity. If anyone thinks I owe them, say it and I'll write it. If I owe and I forgot, I'll make it right like I did today. And if you owe me and forgot, now you remember." Damien shifted. "Babe, just..." She cut him a look. He looked at his cup. The only noise was the kitchen clock ticking toward the hour. I capped the marker and set it on the buffet. "That's it," I said. "We can eat." I reached for the first plate in the stack and passed it to Mom. My heart wasn't hammering. It had a new, slow rhythm. People moved again, chairs scooted, forks slid. Someone unmuted the TV, then changed their mind and muted it again. Tamara didn't take her eyes off the board. Her face softened a notch like the fight had gone out. She opened her mouth, closed it, then reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. The screen lit her hands. I stood where I was, letting the bench and the board be the only loud thing in the room. I didn't fill the silence with anything. I didn't look away from the card at the bottom right. I could feel Mom standing beside me, not touching my arm, but close. Tamara's thumb hovered. She looked up, scanned faces. Mom met my eyes and gave one slow nod, the kind she does when a kid finally tells the truth. Small, permission, and approval in one. "Fine," Tamara said, a little laugh that didn't land anywhere. She unlocked her phone and bent over it. The tapping sounded too loud in the quiet. Damien stared at the salt shaker. My phone buzzed in my back pocket. I didn't snatch it. I slid it out, looked at the screen. Zelle from Tamara, $180. Lights. The knot I'd been living around loosened in a way that made me realize how tight it had been. "Got it," I said, and I didn't let relief turn into a speech. I just said, "Thank you." Tamara flicked her eyes at me and then away. "Okay," she said, more to the board than to me. The pink in her cheeks faded a little. I set my phone face down on the buffet. "Going forward," I said level, "I don't loan cash. If you need groceries, I'll go with you. If you need a ride, I'll drive if I can, but no more IOUs. There was a tiny beat where the air waited to see if anyone was going to make that a fight. Mum set down the serving spoon like a period. Then that's the house rule, she said, simple as turning off a stove. No cash loans. We help with rides and food. A cousin exhaled like he'd been holding it. Fair, he said, giving me a quick nod. The girlfriend at the end of the table said, clarity, like she was trying the word on. Damien scratched his cheek. Makes sense, he said, softer than I've ever heard him. Ella, Tamara said, not quite meeting my eyes, you could have just texted me again. I did, I said. A few times. Laurel sipped her water, mouth quirked. Words are slippery, she said. Cards are not. Tamara let out another breath that wasn't a laugh. Whatever, you have your money. I do, I said. I reached up and drew a line through the electric bill card cleanly. The sound of marker on paper was quieter than I expected. And I'm sticking to what I said. Mom handed me the first plate. I passed it down the line. Forks moved. The TV stayed muted. Conversation rebuilt itself in pieces. Someone asked who made the green beans. Somebody else complained about parking downtown. Normal slid back over us, not pretending the last 5 minutes didn't happen, just making room for them. Halfway through my chicken, my cousin cleared his throat. Hey, Elle, he said sheepish. The gas money, I don't have it right now, but I'll send you 20 on Tuesday and 20 next week. That okay? That's fine, I said. Thank you for saying it. He nodded, relieved. I forgot, he said, seeing it up there, I forgot. That's why she put it up there, Laurel said, like she was reading a recipe out loud. Damien reached for another roll and then paused. I can help with your brakes, he said, eyes on the basket. I mean, I know a place that'll do them decent. My cousin... No cousins, Mum said before I could. She already has a quote. I've got it, I said, not unkind. I'm scheduling them this week. Tamara pushed green beans around her plate. I wasn't trying to make you feel some type of way, she said, barely above the clink of silverware. I know, I said. I was feeling it anyway. She nodded, tiny. Okay. We ate. It felt different, not lighter exactly, but steadier. A rule had slid into place and the floor stopped tilting. After dinner, while plates scraped and people stood up to stretch, Mom touched my elbow. Leave that here, she said, nodding at the corkboard. I'll put it in the hall by the thermostat. You sure? It won't hurt anyone to see what's real, she said, and it's my house. I propped the board against the wall near the kitchen doorway where people got their refills. Cards right where folks reached past them for ice. The marker line through the $180 looked like a road I'd crossed. Tamara came over with a stack of plates. You need help with anything this week? She asked, not looking at me directly. I can pick up frozen chicken or something. If you're at the store, text me, I said. Or if you need a ride, ask early. Okay, she swallowed. Thanks for not yelling. I'm not trying to yell, I said. Just trying not to starve. She huffed a true laugh at that, quick and small. Okay. On my way out, Laurel tapped the corner of the board. Clarity isn't drama, she said. Celeste said people behave better when they see it, I told her. Celeste is a smart woman. Laurel squeezed my hand. Drive careful. Outside, evening had settled clean and blue. The Corolla squealed when I eased from the curb but didn't grind. Tomorrow I'd call the shop and pick a day. My phone buzzed once more. A text from Tamara. Thanks for the ride offer. I'll shout if I need it. No emoji, no spin. Just words that felt like they'd finally hooked onto something solid. Monday morning I took a piece of printer paper and a roll of tape to my fridge. I wrote at the top, Ways I Help, and under it, Rides, Meals, Childcare. Then a line and, What I Don't Do, Cash Loans. I stuck it at eye level, next to the magnet with the dentist's hours. I called the brake shop at 9 and said, "I'm ready." "We can take you Wednesday afternoon," the guy said. "Drop it at 2, pick up by 5. "I'll be there," I said, and felt my shoulders ease a notch. After I hung up, I opened my banking app, looked at the number and then at the purple notebook. The 180 line had a mark through it now. The rent increase letter sat under the notebook like a quiet fact. I added, "Rent, $1,220 starting next month," and boxed it in. At work, Celeste clocked my lunch, actual sandwich, an orange, not just a granola bar. "Look at you eating protein," she said. "Tamara sent the money," I said, "and Mom put the board up in her hall." Celeste grinned. "Beautiful." "How'd it land?" "Quietly," I said, "which is how I wanted it." She nodded at that, approving like a coach who finally sees you follow a play. Tuesday night, my phone pinged. $20 from my cousin, note, "Gas part 1. I sent back a thumbs up. It felt simple, not like pulling teeth. I wrote $20 wrecked on the card in my head and let the rest of the evening be about washing dishes and setting out a clean outfit for the morning. Wednesday, I left the Corolla at the shop and walked the 2 blocks back to the office. The brakes squealed when I eased into their lot, and I patted the dash. "You're getting help," I told it like it was a person. At 4:40, the shop called, "All set, pads and rotors, you're good to go." The total stung, but didn't sink me. I picked up the keys and drove home with no squeal, just the hum of tyres and somebody's radio at the light. I didn't realise how much noise I'd been bracing for until it wasn't there. Thursday afternoon, Tamara texted, "You got a little gas money just to get me through the weekend?" I stared at the fridge note and then typed, "I don't do cash, remember? But I can pick you up and take you where you need to go tonight after 6. She replied fast, "I just need to run to the store. I can pay you back Monday." "No loans," I wrote. "Ride offer stands." "A minute then." "Fine." 6:30. I pulled up in front of her place at 6:32. She slid into the passenger seat with a little exhale. "Thank you," she said, hands folded around her phone. No smiley face tone, no performance. We drove to the discount grocery off Maple. She grabbed a basket, I took one too. We moved slow up and down the aisles like we were trying to remember how to do this together. She put eggs and rice and a bag of frozen broccoli in her basket. I grabbed beans, tortillas, a rotisserie chicken. No selfies, no jokes about me being tight. At checkout, she paid for hers with her card. I paid for mine. "You need help carrying?" I asked. "I got it," she said. In the car, she watched the road and said, "I'm going to try to cut back on takeout. It's dumb." "Groceries stretch," I said. "I know." She looked over. "Thanks for the ride." "You're welcome," I said, and that was the whole thing. No, "I'll pay you back," tacked on like a reflex. Just thanks. Friday, Celeste passed my desk and flicked the corner of a post-it by my keyboard. "How's the board doing at your mum's?" "Still there," I said. "People have to walk by it to get ice." She snorted. "A shrine to accountability." "Mum called it a house rule," I said. "She likes peace," Celeste said. "Peace is easier when numbers are real." Sunday came around again. Roast smelled like childhood when I stepped into Mum's kitchen. The corkboard leaned by the doorway, cards neat. A new line in my cousin's handwriting had appeared on his card. $20 PD. He'd borrowed my marker, apparently. I smiled and let it be. Aunt Laurel walked in, tapped the board once, then handed me a tea towel with red stripes. "So you don't have to borrow mine again," she said, mouth curled. "I'm squared with you," I said. "I know," she said. "This one's clean." I folded it and put it in my bag. "Thank you." Tamara arrived without Damien, hair in a bun, sneakers on. She didn't make an entrance. She slid next to me and held out a bag of rolls. "I brought bread," she said. "Perfect," Mum said, genuinely pleased. She handed me the serving spoon. Start us off. We ate. I told Laurel about the new brakes. She nodded approval. My cousin leaned over and said, "Second 20 on Thursday, okay?" I said yes. Tamara asked if I could take her to the laundromat after dinner. I said I could if we left by 7. We did. She folded still warm shirts into a neat pile and said, "Lo, I'm working on it." "I see it," I said. On my way home, the car rolled sweet and quiet. I parked behind my building, carried the clean towel upstairs, and taped a fresh copy of the fridge note because the first had a splatter of sauce on it. I added one more line under "Ways I help." Planning rides in advance because it turns out I like a schedule. My phone buzzed as I set the tape down. "Tamara, thanks for the ride, period." I looked at the corkboard in my head and the board in Mom's hall and the paper on my fridge. None of it felt like a fight anymore. It felt like a map I could follow, even on a week when the numbers were tight. I wrote down laundromat, miles, in my notebook out of habit, turned off the kitchen light, and didn't picture anyone's apartment going dark.